Together we'll have so much fun. In the glow of the stars above, we find our strength, we share our love. Annie and Sydney hand in hand, leading us through this magical land. Every story, every smile makes our journey so worthwhile. With hearts so full and spirits high, we'll reach for dreams up in the sky. From the dawn till the setting sun, our journey's only just begun. In this realm where love will grow, welcome to the Getting to Know Show. Know the realm where we belong. With Eddie and Sydney we'll sing along, getting to know each other here, in a world that's full of cheer. Know the realm where dreams come true. With every friend there's something new. The Getting to Know Show has just begun. Together we'll have so much fun. So as we journey hand in hand through Nova Realm, this wondrous land, we'll cherish every moment, know the magic of the Getting to Know Show.
What's up,
Okay.
Windows?
What up, what up, what up? Welcome, everybody. So we have two very, very special guests today with us. Can you guys hear me? I feel like I'm yelling. Am I yelling?
No.
I can yell if you really want me to yell. But anyways, we got two very special guests that have an amazing story. And a lot of you know who they are, and some of you don't know who they are, but you know what? You're going to get to know who they are because
No.
that's right. That's right. Well, we have, it's the Pac-Man Paranormal. And Ernie. Oh, I have sound bites.
Howdy, howdy.
So, Denise, Ernie, welcome to our crazy world.
Welcome.
And our cheesy song.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here because we know you guys are extremely busy.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody in chat. Like, just to get you on the show, I'm very honored. We're very honored to have you on the show.
We're nobody.
We're just
I do have.
We're busy because we got to, exactly. It's what she said.
I gotta.
When Eric Stevens prop up over there, he's followed us from the Save Waverly Hills days, and he's always
first
Wow.
to pop up in the chat. It's good to see you.
Welcome. So before we get going, I have another special guest that wants to join us. Okay.
Oh
You
no.
just- you-
Oh no.
What?
I've got
Does
I've
she
got
know
beef
his
with
story?
Smokey.
Do you know his story with Smokey?
I don't know his story with Smokey. What's his story with Smokey? I gotta know this.
I've got
You got a story with the owl? No,
No,
just
I don't
Smokey.
Beef with Smokey.
What's your beef with Smokey?
Bigfoot? No,
I like
just
it.
Smokey.
Me and Bigfoot hang out a lot.
Smokey. Okay, so let's start off with that.
You just hit a nerve, Emmy. You hit a nerve.
You know what?
Tonight,
Was I not fair? Hold on, before you start with your story, was I not fair? Did I not say, is there something that you do not want to talk about? And you left it wide open, man.
You
Wide
sure did.
open.
You sure did.
What are you thinking? And you did not mention Smokey the freaking bear.
Now, wait, she opened the bag, so now you have to say it.
All right. I was in Boy Scouts years ago.
Many
Shut up.
years.
Shut up. So I was in Boy Scouts many years ago, and we had a competition called Scout-O-Rama, where there were several different
He's
competitions.
carried this long, y'all.
I'm still mad, and if I see that fat son of a gun out somewhere, his butt's mine. But so anyway, we had one of the competitions.
You're gonna look at me. Sorry, go ahead. Okay.
one of the competitions within the competition was fire by flint and steel. And it's where you take a piece of steel and a piece of flint, you strike it into a little nest that you've made with char.
Wow.
And there's Rob. And anyway, and like cedar filings, whatever, blow on it, boom, and you make a fire. Okay. And I won this competition. Boom, fire, win, fastest time ever, right?
Congrats on that.
They have the awards ceremony, and they introduce, in third place, Sonny Slowpoke from some other troop besides Earnings, and he comes up and he gets his little tiny trophy. And then Tommy Too Slow from another troop, and he comes up and gets his a little bit bigger trophy for second place. And I'm looking at that big first place trophy that I know is mine, and I'm getting ready to go up on the stage, and they say, and now a word from Smokey the Bear. Don't start forest fires, only you can prevent forest.
Forgot about poor little Lady Pat.
They never gave me my trophy. I had to go up after the ceremony and say, hey, where's my trophy? And they gave it afterwards. And I'm like, but I didn't get the crap because of Smokey the freaking Bear.
He said
So Smokey stole your spotlight.
Smokey, did you do that?
Damn.
Look at me.
Let's just say it was 40-ish.
over 40
So-
years had beef with Smokey.
Yeah.
It's been 40 years.
I haven't seen him since.
Well,
No.
now you have.
Emmy, use your best Smokey impersonation and give him the award.
No, let's just move on.
It's a great start to the show.
Hey, kids, don't play with fire. So, wait, commercial time.
That's enough.
Damn it.
I am mad.
I think that's
I'm
good.
gonna have mad.
You're waiting this entire time to get your like praise for doing something awesome, and you know what you're talking about forest fire.
Well,
Yeah.
It's,
Smokey, you
this-
want to tell us who?
at our public events, her and the Todd and Leanne, the Black Wolf Paranormal, they drag me in. They pull me back in. Squatch Man. Oh, tell them about Smokey the Bear.
Do you want to know who told me to talk to you about this? And I thought it was perfect. Who do you think?
Was it Howard?
Greg.
No, not Howard.
Greg.
Greg Ogden?
Who?
Greg.
It was Stephen Woodard, wasn't it?
It was Greg.
Greg Ogden.
Greg Bogdan.
Oh, that's wrong.
And I was like,
He's in the
he goes,
same
mention Smokey the Bear.
Bear.
I'm like, mention Smokey the Bear. I'm like, I have Smokey the Bear out my camper. I went out to my camper to grab Smokey. My husband's looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing with Smokey the Bear? I'm like, trust me, it's going to be with the interview today.
I don't know where the picture of him is.
You just gave this man PTSD.
That guy right there told me to talk about this right here.
Damn.
Doesn't he look like a jerk? I mean, just come on. Come on, Pete.
Oh shit, my tummy hurts now.
I got smoke there, and then this jerk here. Get this stuff out of my space. God.
I'm sorry.
But I did fair warn you. I did say it was, what did you not want us to talk about?
You brought me in here to stir up childhood trauma.
For real though. So we are two of the co-hosts of the Unholy Trinity. So we still do not pay for your therapy. Sorry.
All right. I see how it is.
Okay, so now we're past the embarrassing traumatization. Hey, you know what? We don't pay for therapy. Just saying.
We just create
Okay.
it. Just create
Yeah.
it.
Just help keep the
Oh my God. Okay. Just get back. Be professional. No, Smokey, we're not going to do it tonight. Okay, there. That sounded horribly wrong. Oh, shit.
So,
Go ahead.
for those who don't know who you are, give us a short little bio about Pac-Man Paranormal and
Yeah.
what got y'all into the paranormal and who you are.
First.
Like what got us into it? Well, I've been a ghost hunter my whole life. I say ghost hunter. Use that term loosely because we all know paranormal investigator is the appropriate term. But my parents were ghost hunters, so I was born and raised.
Really?
This. I spent my whole life, even like my grandmother. I was raised in the mountains of West Virginia, Appalachian area, holler. All
Mothman
the
country.
Mothman was right
Wow.
near ghost stories. I mean, it was a common every night, like sit around and tell ghost stories. And it was just part of every part of my being because it was like, I was never taught to fear it. It was just like something that was a curiosity. So, and the whole family was into it. And, there were so many stories. So it's been my whole life. So I met him when he was my overnight tour guide at Waverly Hills Sanatorium in 2019.
Yep. And your life's been nothing but
Hell
Did you
since.
just say 20? Oh, never mind. I thought you were saying 1990.
wait, back the hell.
I was saying
Damn.
1919. I was getting ready to say 1919. Never mind. Just continue on. It's this guy's fault. I'm sorry.
I grew up in a family of mostly believers. I mean, skeptical believers, yes, but believers. We had activity in the home that I grew up in that everyone acknowledged. Everyone had some kind of experience there. I've got a lot of Native American heritage in my family. And as you guys know, and anyone that follows this stuff knows, the Native American traditions involve a lot of spiritual communication and things like that. And so I guess that's kind of been in my blood in a sense.
Todd, he's really old. All your best friends.
Block these people. I used to go when I was a kid. I'd go sneak in. There was an old abandoned grist mill near the old family farm down in Meade County, Kentucky, and we'd go in there and look around and just stop and listen, and had experiences. I grew up basically in the shadows of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and it closed as a hospital at the end of 1980 and sat abandoned. And I was a teenager in the 80s, and that was kind of the thing to do. If you lived in the area, you sneak in Waverly Hills, and we had a lot of experiences there. When Tina and Charlie Mattingly bought the building in 2000 and started doing tours out of it, it was I had to go, it was
Your calling.
It was a regular stop for
Well,
me
he snuck into it as a
as a kid.
teenager.
Yeah.
So
And so I kept going back for the public overnights or tours, whatever. And then finally I kept hounding Tina about being a guide there. And I worked my way in, started out as a haunted house actor, then became a guide, then became a host for the overnights, did a little bit of everything there, and met a lot of wonderful people in the paranormal community there. Everybody who's a paranormal investigator has either been there or has it on their bucket list. including some of the biggest in the paranormal. And so I met a lot of those folks and made a lot of connections. And then, like she says,
You mastered the Southern.
yeah, I did. I mastered the Southern goodbye there.
Okay, what's the Southern goodbye? You got to explain that.
It takes 3 hours to say goodbye.
Right. When Todd and Ernie decide they're going to say goodbye, Leanne and I sit in our opposite trucks and we just FaceTime each other because we know they're going to be outside and goodbye. Like,
I got you.
Nice.
I was telling a wonderful story, and I got,
Southern goodbye was. I had to
I
tell
asked
you.
the question. I'm from the West Coast. I don't know what Southern goodbye.
anyway.
Okay, finish.
Anyway, I met her June 20th.
Anyways.
Came for a private overnight, and we got connected because both of us had very similar experiences with the nurse of room 502.
I was getting ready to say.
That's cool. That is so cool.
And so we started talking a lot about that and investigating it a little bit together. She was living in Hendersonville, Tennessee, driving up to Louisville, Kentucky on the weekends, and we'd either spend time at Waverly or spend time elsewhere researching the story of the nurse from room 502. And we were just friends and stayed just friends for a long, long time. And then everybody convinced us that we were more than just friends. So we said, okay, all right.
There's a whole story to that. Too. It's a whole other rabbit hole. But, basically, the way Pac-Man Paranormal came to exist is because we were in a cemetery looking for Sarah. That's her name. Sarah's grave.
Okay.
And Bigfoot found us. We weren't disbelievers because obviously we've seen some crazy stuff, but we weren't Bigfoot people. And we had all this stuff happen that we kind of thought, now that we do the squatching, because we're about 50% squatchers now and 50% paranormal investigators.
Oh, okay.
And when we didn't really know the classic Bigfoot, signs and stuff, but all this stuff kind of happened while we were there, and we kind of determined that, that it was a squatch. And word got out to one of the co-hosts of Coast to Coast AM, and she wanted to do a live stream, Ghost Hunters Meet Bigfoot, which is how we ended up hooking up with Squatch Man eventually. And when we were going to do the live stream, she was like, well, what's the name of your team? We were like, we don't have a team.
Ernie and Denise?
We're just two people that got to have a team. So we sat and thought about it real quick. And his last name's Pac, which is my last name now, too.
That's how that works.
Pac-Man, shut up. I almost said it. That's myself. His nickname growing up was Pac-Man, and then it only made sense. Pac-Man chases ghosts, so
The game, yeah.
So we became.
I love
Pac-Man.
that.
That is really cool.
And what was funny is at the time, going back to this nurse and that whole story that we haven't got into, I had the initial thought of, well, we're just friends, and my last name's not Pac, and I'm letting him take the glory for this team. And I had this voice inside say, and we're still friends, this voice inside says, you're going to be a Pac, roll with it. So I knew I was going to marry him.
I was.
Aww.
That's what it was.
1, 2, 3. Oh.
Everybody,
Aww.
chat. Ryan Seymour says it all. Ernie Pac is the real legend here. Thank you very much.
That's
Thank
awesome.
It's because he's
Checks in the
ancient.
mail.
He's ancient.
So what got you guys? And I know you guys, the 502. That's like really cool. So how did that actually bring you two together to get where you are today to be married?
Yeah.
Well,
we were both in. I'll talk about my path to get there, and then you can talk about your path.
Let's actually match up.
I had gotten divorced in 2012 and I had been married for 15 years. became, basically a single mom. And I had 4 daughters, 3 of them with the husband I had just divorced. My oldest one, I was like 17 years old. That's a whole other thing. But anyway,
that's a different mistake.
I had four daughters. One of them was pretty much old enough. She was, on her, out on her own. But I had already jumped right back into another really bad relationship because I thought I was doing my kids a favor, and I got stuck in that for 5 years trying to escape it. I finally escaped, and I was like, I'm done. My kids didn't like anyone because they had been through so much. They did not want me dating. My youngest at the time when I was done with that boyfriend was 16. And she really was, mama's girl. She didn't want nobody. She didn't want to share me with anybody. And so I made a promise to my kids that I was going to just be theirs. I was starting to live my life. My kids were old enough to live with me. And I was done. I was finding my way. I was getting myself financially set, and I had no intentions of being with anybody. And I would be at work and somebody would smile at me in the hallway. I'd be like, nope. I wouldn't even like smile.
Don't even do it.
Like,
Don't even do it.
you. And I have really, really bad anxiety. So even when we went to, which it's gotten a little better, I think, but when we went up to the gate of Waverly, just to give you an idea where I was at that night, it was so bad that I had to make my teenage daughters get out and talk. I was like, you guys need to get out and talk to whoever comes to the gate, because I was too anxious to do it. Like my teenage girls were kind of like babysitting their mom. That's how bad my anxiety was. I had started visiting Waverly as a paranormal investigator in 2009. I was going pretty much annually. He started working there in 2009. We didn't meet till 2019, which is ironic. But I'm a nurse, and this story, and we'll go over the story here in a little bit so everybody kind of knows that don't know. It never made sense to me. And so I spent a lot of time when I was at Waverly up there talking to her. And I had gotten a lot of information like the name Sarah and just a lot of things that she was telling me that did not add up with the story that the guides were giving. So I felt like I was having to kind of piece something together. I didn't know how I was ever going to prove it or if there was ever anybody going to believe me, but that was kind of like my mission. And then the night that I went up there in 2019, June 20th, 2019, that's the night he was coming down the hill. And after I had already had all this arrangements with my kids, if you got to get out and talk to whoever comes down to the gate, I've got.
Then she saw me.
Got so much. This voice that had been coming to me. This voice that had been coming to me all these years. That was her voice. Said he's safe. It's okay. Get out and talk to him. And I got out of the car and went to the gate to meet him. So you can tell where you were at by that night.
I had been divorced twice already and had just recently lost another relationship and was very down. I had recently lost a job with the railroad that, I was making almost $100,000 a year working for the railroad, and went back to, part-time work at Waverly Hills as a tour guide. And I had been living a lifestyle based on someone making close to $100,000 a year. So the money was not keeping up with the bills. My son had come to live with me, and he was, I guess, 13 at the time. And everything started collapsing in on me financially, emotionally. I mean, I was just in a really bad place. I was drinking too much. I was doing a lot of stupid stuff that I shouldn't be doing. And just kind of on a path of self-destruction, really. Not thinking about any kind of relationship or anything. I was just wallowing in my own misery, basically. And so then when, I met her, I mean, I put on the tour guide face and, smiled, welcomed everybody, gave them their tour, and, acted like everything was fine, like I always did. but it wasn't. And,
And that night, I don't know. I guess we both maybe knew something, even though we were in denial even that night, because we kept trying. I was trying to avoid him, and but I was going to say we were trying to
avoid you, but
avoid him, because at one point I was in the building and we were all in, like, the whole group, because there was a bunch of us there, and I had 3 of my daughters with me that night. It was my one of my daughter's 18th birthday that night. We were all gathered together in one of the rooms on the second floor, and I heard psst, psst, and I turned around and he's in the hallway. He says, "Go with me up to the OR." And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Come on, go with me to the OR." And I grabbed my kids and I'm like, "You're going with me. I'm not going with him by myself anywhere." So all night, like, he said he was trying to get me to talk to him. And I do remember you sitting out on the porch and trying to talk. He was like yelling in the door at me, like I was going to come out and talk to him. And I was still over in the corner. I was yelling back.
And she was just giving one-word answers and stuff. It was like, okay,
I was like, no,
this ain't happening. So,
it's but I don't even think, because you really weren't in the ready for a relationship. I don't know why you was trying to,
because you were so quiet. I was trying to make sure I didn't feel like you were having a good time because you were so quiet.
Yeah, just made her feel comfortable to get you out of your shell.
Yeah. Talking to her, she's going, "No, that's enough to make her awkward."
but we get through that night, and as we're leaving, he helps me carry stuff out to the car, because I have my hands full, and I brought a carload of teenage girls with me who all, jumps out and runs out and gets to the car. Nobody can help carry anything. So he helps me carry my stuff out. And I knew his name was Ernie. I didn't have a last name. Waverly Hills doesn't have a list of employees. I did not know him at all. As far as I knew, I was never going to see him again. And we're in the car getting ready to go down the hill. And my youngest daughter, who has hated everybody and was so happy that I was not going to be in a relationship with anybody, as we're pulling out, she says, "I could get behind that relationship." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And she's like, yeah, and all the girls in the car, 3 of my daughters and then their friends, "Mom, you all were flirting all night. You all were a cute couple. You all were this." All my kids are like trying to fix me up. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And then I'm finally like, it doesn't matter. I didn't get his last name. I won't be back for another year. I don't even know how to, it is what it is. So I get home. And, by the time it was a 2.5-hour drive home, I get home, I take my nap, I get up at like noon, 1 o'clock the next day, and I roll over and I'm like, I'm going to check my Facebook. And when I open up my Facebook, the first thing, people you may know, Ernie Pack. So
wow, that's a sign.
And I'm hearing this voice, because, she has a voice. And even to this day, when we hear it, we know it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm hearing this voice sending my friend's request, and I'm like, what the heck? So I send a friend's request, and he accepts it the minute it goes through, because he's actually just got back to Waverly and on his phone, and he sees it at the same time. Well, anybody that knows anything about Waverly, or if you don't know anything about Waverly, tickets go on sale January 1st, and they're usually gone by January 15th.
Yep.
I got 3 different sets of tickets that year that I was not supposed to have. So we kind of messaged back and forth, like, "Thanks for, having us. The night was great, and I'm not really expecting anything." And then he sends me a couple of messages, and we start talking like daily.
But
and
it
started with Sarah, because we were talking about her story and things that we were comparing, because
comparing notes.
When I was up there on the tour, I told you the tour guides never told the story that I got. He told the story that the tour guides were supposed to tell, but at the end he said, "Now let me tell you what I think happened." And he starts going down the path that I had. So that's what started our initial conversation.
Wow.
So we had been there June 20th. I get a couple of tickets for a public investigation. I want to say it was like 2 weeks. It was
like first weekend of July.
It was either July 3rd or July 5th. I can't remember how
the fireworks. I know that.
I can't remember. It was right around the holiday.
There was fireworks.
Yeah. It was right around the holiday. But it was for a public, not a private. So I sent him a message, and I'm like, just, because I started to not taking them, and I thought there's a reason that this is happening. So I said, yes, I'll take them. So I sent him a message and I said, guess what? I'm going to be back up on Friday for the public overnight. And he said, I'll see if I can stick around and say hello, but I don't do the publics. I only do the privates. I'm usually not there on Fridays and Saturday nights. I was like, okay, all right. So it was like, it was like, okay, maybe it's not meant to be. If it's meant to be, whatever. So I'm at dinner. I drive up. I'm at dinner. It's like 2 hours before our public is supposed to start. And I get a text from him. Guess what? One of the tour guides that never gets sick called out tonight. I have to fill in. I'm going to be your guide tonight. This happened like 3 different times.
Things just kept shoving us together.
Well, during the course
Sarah.
of this, exactly.
502.
During the course of this, things were really starting to fall apart for him. I'll let you kind of.
The hair standing up on it. This is awesome,
Right?
There were things we were getting very close, as in like friendship close. Like we were to the point. He was the first person I talked to in the morning, the last person I talked to at night. We were telling all of our secrets. Like there were things going on in
Still
his
not
life.
like a couple though. You
But
know what I'm
just
saying?
really
Just
good
really good
friends.
friends.
right?
And there were things happening in his life that I knew about that nobody else knew about.
I was getting evicted from my home. I was about to lose my car. I had sent my son and my dog to live with my niece because I knew I couldn't afford to keep everything.
Right.
And it was bad. And one night I had a private overnight in the building. They got done at 4:00. I went down, I let them out. They went out to the parking lot. I went back in the building to lock the building up, and I always started at the top floor and worked my way down because there's a door up on the 5th floor to the outside that if people come up the fire escape, they can get in the building through that door if it's not locked. So I would start on the 5th floor up by 502 and lock the building. And anyway, I was a smoker at the time. So I got up on the roof and I looked down and I saw the cars heading down the hill. Could see their tail lights as they were going off the property. Lit a cigarette and just started thinking about everything. I was looking up at the sky and just looking around, and I just was like, I got nothing. And I made the decision. When I finish this cigarette, I'm going to flick it and I'm going to follow it down. I was literally going to jump off the roof. I mean, decided I was going to.
Right.
Like I said, I'm standing there on the roof outside of room 502, and I hear that same voice she's talked about. It said, call Denise.
Now,
I turned and looked over toward room 502, and I was like, Sarah? And I heard it call Denise.
and now remember, for him, it's 4 a.m. I was an hour behind him. It was 3 a.m. for me. My phone was on silent. I was asleep. I jolted awake with that voice that said, you're getting ready to get a phone call. Answer it. So he called.
So I called her, and she answered first ring, and I didn't tell her I was standing on the ledge at Waverly or anything like that. I was just like,
I just knew
surprised you're up.
I just knew there was some reason I was supposed to talk to him, and I kind of figured what was going on because I knew how bad. Because there were a lot of tears. I mean, the person that everybody else was saying, I saw the raw. We were best friends, and I saw the raw, and I knew what he was going through. And going back to, like I said, I had been a single mom. I started working overtime just to try to make sure he had food. I would come up on the weekends and get a hotel room for a couple of nights so he could shower and have a bed. And it was platonic. I was in my bed, he was in his. We'd
Right.
hang out. We'd go to cemeteries.
I think we kind of jumped over the part where I was living in my car, sleeping in the parking lot at Waverly Hills at this time. That was how it was.
He was having these dizzy spells that I was sending him money to go to the clinic to get, like, I was basically taking care of both of us. There was 1 month that I made his car payment because I knew he didn't have anything else. And if he ended up losing that too, he wasn't going to survive.
I didn't, at least I had a car that I could.
Right, yeah. That's still a roof over your head then on that, if you want to say that. Yeah.
But, like I say, it all goes back to the connection that we made talking about Sarah's story. And I guess for those who don't know, I'll tell you, Waverly Hills has probably the most popular story up there of the spirits is of a nurse who was found hanging outside of room 502. And the scripted story that I was given back then that, was based on the information they had at the time, was that a nurse had been having an affair with a married doctor back in the 30s. She had gotten pregnant. That was frowned upon, of course,
Right.
man. And the doctor broke off the relationship, and she got depressed. She had an abortion, whether she gave it to herself or someone else gave it to her. She had an abortion, and she hung herself outside of room 502. And, when she was found, she's hanging from a light fixture there by a maintenance man who, the elevator door opens and he sees her hanging there. There's blood running down her legs, obvious signs of an abortion dripping from her toes. And so that's the story that we always told. That's what some of the guides up there might still tell that story today. That's one of the stories. But that story never made sense to me because of a lot of things. One, the 5th floor at Waverly Hills in the 30s, on one wing had children with stage 4 tuberculosis.
Right.
12 and under. The other wing had patients who had tubercular meningitis, and a lot of them had been treated with electroshock therapy and were considered crazy. Now, tubercular meningitis is basically TB of the brain, and like common meningitis, it usually affected young adults or teenagers. So a lot of these patients were basically kids too. And nurses back then were lucky to bring home $25 a week. Nursing wasn't a big glamorous career. They weren't well respected. There were women in the workforce in the 30s. Okay.
Right.
They were given menial tasks. A lot of times had to do the work that was actually the work of orderlies, but the orderlies were males. And so they would put that work off on the women.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of this stuff was true.
Yeah. And we confirmed a lot of that information.
Yeah. We talked to actual family members of nurses who had been there at that time.
Wow. Okay.
And so it never made sense to me that another thing about it, if you went to work at Waverly Hills, you had to live there. You were basically confined there because they didn't want the threat of the disease getting out in the neighborhood. In the 30s, that evolved over time. But in the 30s, you were just locked in. It was like sentencing yourself to prison to take a job.
And a lot of the ones that went to work there died.
Yeah, a lot of people got sick.
There was a whole wing called the nurses' wing just because of where the nurses
staff members would get sick.
Right.
So it didn't make sense to me that a young woman who had given up her freedom, basically, for not a lot of money, in a place where she could die, right, would be so callous and cold as to hang herself in plain view of these really sick kids on that 5th floor. So that was why I started going down the path of researching that story in every way I could. and mostly by sitting outside of room 502 with a recorder or other equipment and just trying to communicate with her.
Now, when we finally admitted we were a couple and moved in together, like we admitted we were a couple and that was it. Like we were connected from there on at the hip. We were pretty much connected at the hip already, but once
we admitted we were a couple, it was on.
That was it. We moved together within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I moved up from Hendersonville, moved in with him, but we started a podcast on what was at the time Paranormal Warehouse, and we started talking about this story, piecing together Sarah's story, and we stopped counting at 32 different teams that were coming together with different pieces of their story that matched ours, and everybody was adding more. Plus, guides at Waverly for a while. I joined him for a while at Waverly, and we had visitors. Todd and Leanne were there. We had visitors and contributing. So the story that we've got now of Sarah is 12 years, a lot of EVPs, and a lot of different teams coming together to put this story together.
Yeah, it's not like one conversation
and we
led to all of it. So one investigation. It's 12 years scattered out.
We can't confirm paranormal research. The records, were destroyed in floods, but we do have a lot of people with a lot of the same information coming across.
So I want to say, I'm going to cut you off. No, I just going, I'm like that when I go places. I actually don't want to know the history because I want the spirits to tell me the history. And sometimes it matches up because I'll go back and do research. And sometimes there's some stuff in there that's like, and I talk with other people that are with me that have, done this too. And you're right. We can get the same similar stories without, doing that. So that's what I do. I like to go in blind in places. So sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's all good. As a former guy, I always recommend you at least take the tour to get a feel for the place. I mean, you can.
Smokey's telling me something. Ernie, who's Garth Brooks?
That's her man.
Talk about that here.
But her story pieced together, like she said, over 12 years and with at least 32 different teams, plus all the different people that would tell us their own things, personally, one-on-one when they would go to Waverly. Sarah had an older daughter she adored. She had grown up. Older sister she adored. She had grown up the youngest daughter in the family, and she was the runt of the family. But she had an older sister she adored. Her sister caught tuberculosis and died at the age of 15. And when that happened, Sarah decided she wanted to be a nurse and she wanted to help kids that had tuberculosis. So she pursued that goal. She got the opportunity to go to work at Waverly Hills, and it was a dream come true for her. There was no better place. Waverly was a state-of-the-art hospital of its time and the best place to go if you had tuberculosis.
Right.
So when she went to work there, she was very small, very soft-spoken, and they thought she'd be a good fit for the really sick kids up on the 5th floor. Because, she was small like them, soft-spoken. She wouldn't be intimidating. She could kind of relate on their level.
Right.
So because she was new, she often worked. I see that. Good to see you. Because she was new, she often worked the night shift. And a lot of times she'd work alone on the night shift up there on the 5th floor because the kids were asleep. There wasn't a whole lot going on. And one night, she's there for 3 years, and one night she's alone in room 504, and there's a scary thing behind you. And
oh my God, I get it. I get up to turn down my TV, and all I see is J-Back walking by. Continue with the
He had a helmet on, like I was going to hit him or something. I don't know.
But where was I? Okay, so she's alone. She's up there one night alone on the 5th floor. She's in room 504. when another staff member came up the steps. He didn't use the elevator because she never heard a bell. Now, the way I found that out was I got EVPs. I got over the Ovulus. I got several different times I would get no bell, no bell. And sometimes, like over the Ovulus, it would come up NOBEL, like the Nobel Prize.
Right.
So I was going down this path of looking for anyone who worked at Waverly, maybe because it was a research hospital, you know, maybe someone with a Nobel Prize back in the day for working there. So I'm going down that path. And then one night I was sitting there outside of room 502, and I'm trying to get some communication. Yeah.
502.
Communication. And I just looked up, and the elevator's right across from 502, and there's the bell for the elevator. And I thought, maybe she means no bell, like the elevator bell never rang. So I said, Sarah, do you mean they came up the steps? They didn't use the elevator? And it was one of the coolest, clearest EVPs I ever got in my life. She says, yes. I've been trying to tell you this for 5 freaking years. And
Wow.
so that's how I knew someone had come up the steps, came in the room behind her. He attacked her. She tried to fight back. She was too little. He was too strong. He got what he wanted.
He hurt my neck.
Yeah. She was a virgin until that time. So there was no pregnancy. And they lied. They covered it up. Help me. Help me. And when you think about that story, that makes a lot more sense.
I mean, what better way to hide a strangulation or a broken neck than to hang the body? What better way
Stage
to
of fake suicide.
cover an abortion, a rape, to make a abortion story?
Yeah.
And we have gotten a first and a last name of the person that Sarah said did it, and his station. And we were able, or his station, what's
His
the
job
title? We were able, we won't, say that
He's
because
still got family in
there's
the
still
area.
family in the area, but we did find that first and last name with that job title on the staff registry.
Oh my God. I know. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So, I mean, we got a lot of confirmation. But when you think about it, I mean, there's been sexual predators since the beginning of time.
We'll
I'll
address
cover
that in a minute.
Let me finish this and I'll address that. Waverly Hills was a closed, self-contained community. Who's to say that a sexual predator didn't get a job there as, I don't know, maybe an orderly?
That would make sense.
Confined there to the property. Where's his pool of victims got to come from? They're on the property.
Who's the perfect victim?
That tiny little nurse alone on the night shift up there, nothing but really sick kids as witnesses. I mean, it makes a lot more sense to me. And it's not something that, that I dreamed up, that she dreamed up, anything like that. It's something that at least 2 different teams have contributed to, including Long Island or
Courtney's
Trinity
team,
Trinity Paranormal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Some EVPs.
That's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the fact that we both paid attention and we both separately started talking to her, I think she knew that we were her people. And I think part of the other reason that she brought us together, because I see Adventures with Vegas Paranormal over here asking how's Waverly, she knew that somebody was going to have to fight for Waverly eventually. And we were the 2 that spearheaded Save Waverly Hills. We fought together.
Right. I remember all that. I remember that story. Yes.
Wow.
So
Waverly
is back in Tina and Charlie's hands. They're back in control of their own property.
nice.
Good.
With Waverly Hills. We're doing our own thing with Pac-Man Paranormal and Hauntings of Fort Duffield. We have a Civil War fort right here in town. It's like, I don't know, a mile that way.
And we live in Kentucky's most haunted house right now, the Ditto House Inn.
That you do.
Discoveries has filmed.
We're also on
Nice.
season 1 and season 3, and
Actually, tomorrow night.
they just filmed season 4 here.
Yeah, tomorrow night, Haunted Discoveries episode from Waverly Hills, which we're a part of, with Tina and Charlie's return. It's called The Homecoming, with Tina and Charlie's return to Waverly. That opens on Haunt TV tomorrow night at 8:00 Eastern time.
Wow.
So
you'll
you got us to the good time.
Nice.
Hey, I was going to ask you guys. I think I may have some more, but the yeah. Let me get off here for a moment. Hey, I know. Okay, so the video of the door, you asked it to shut. Where's that video at?
Right downstairs in the dining room. Have you got that video?
I think I do. Let me go to
Oh, there's a creepy video. We love creepy videos.
I can send
yeah.
Yes.
Let me see, because I know Howard sends me stuff, like guinea pigs and
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
like Todd says, while y'all are looking for that, September 21st, we're going to be guest hosts with the Black Wolf Paranormal, Todd and Leanne Eskew, at the Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee.
Nice.
Haven't been to the Bell. I'm sure most of you have probably heard of the Bell Witch Cave if you're interested in paranormal. They don't do a whole lot of events there, but they do at least once a month. Todd and Leanne host public events there
May
through November. And we'll be their guest host in September. It's
September
an awesome
21st.
place.
It says it just sent it to you, Emmy.
oh, you just sent it? Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, let me get this popped up.
That was 30 minutes after getting the key to this house.
Yeah. And I'll set it up while she's loading it. Denise was working in Indianapolis at the time.
We live in West Point, Kentucky, by the way.
Yeah, West Point, Kentucky. We were living up close to Waverly Hills, which is 20 minutes up the road here at the time. And the realtor called me and said, hey, because we've been waiting for the key because the previous owners would not give us a key forever. And he called me. He said, hey, your key should be in the mailbox now. You should go on down there and check out the house. So I came down and came in the house, and it smelled like a morgue in here.
They left
A morgue?
left meat in the refrigerator for 2 weeks with the electric turned off.
Oh, Jesus.
So the house and grabbing rotten meat out of the refrigerator and throwing it out. And when I walked through the dining room at one point, that door slammed behind me, the door you're looking at right now. And the dogs freaked out about it. And
now add right here, because some people ask, you still hear birds chirping. There is a window open, but it is not a window that's going to cause any type of airflow there. And when Haunted Discoveries were here, we showed them what window was open and everything.
they tried to recreate
They
it.
agreed
that window has no effect on that door, because that window that's open that you actually hear is actually in the kitchen, which is around the corner and through another doorway.
Right.
But you can hear the birds chirping from the open window. But anyway, the door slammed. So I went back in the dining room. I opened the door back up. I swung it back and forth a few times to see if there was a reason for it, to see if there was a draft or anything, to see why it had closed. And couldn't find a reason. So I went into ghost hunter mode and started recording. And that's what you got here. It's about a 40-second video.
I got
15,
already.
but
will you quit talking and just let him play the video?
Will you
Jesus.
No.
he was mean to me. Can you close that door again, please? This one here in front of me.
I'm going to pause it for a moment because I want people to look. There is no shadows. I mean,
Yeah.
if there was something right there, you would see a shadow from under the door or anywhere.
The crack.
There's
Well,
nothing there. You can see the top of the door. You can, I mean, pretty much you can see every part where if you would think somebody was there, but they're not. Okay, here we go. I know, I'll be quiet.
There you go.
oh, there it goes.
All the way.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes.
wow. See, even the dogs are happy. And I just want to say something. I'll play it again, but you can, for us, you know, people who do paranormal, with the light coming through, if there was actually fishing line, there's any fishing line because of the light coming through, you will see it glistening, and then you can't see nothing.
There's nothing there. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell people. I mean, there's nothing.
There you go. All the way. Thank you.
You can like hear the dog's like genuine response to it too, though. That's what
How's that?
makes it even more intriguing. Is the fact that the dog is barking to something
That's
that's
Emmy's dog. My dog was
It's crazy
Emmy's
how
dog
this,
is responding to it.
yeah, the dog will do it again because every time he says that,
close
the
that door
dog
again,
starts to
please?
respond.
Yeah.
This one here in front of me. There you go. All the way.
Oh yeah, now my dog's gonna be quiet.
Thank you.
No, but I've noticed that like anytime we have something paranormal going on our show, Emmy's dog always responds
Oh, it's crazy.
all the time.
Todd and Leanne are saying over here in the chat about the cabinets opening. Every time we tell the folks in the house that tell them we open all the cabinets in the house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
we're
I need to
actually
go to that house. I need to go to y'all's house. Slumber party. Let's go.
sitting in the murder room right now.
What?
The murder room.
I love how y'all guys say it all calm and nonchalant.
The murder
The murder room.
Welcome to the murder room at the Diddle
This is
House.
Silas's room. He's here. We
Yeah.
see him all the time.
There was a traveling life insurance salesman that was here.
Ironically.
Yeah, life insurance salesman. He was here for a social function in 1903.
We were a Civil War hospital, a brothel, which is probably what was happening. Yes, social. And in a ticket office, a post office, a what else? Restaurant.
You name it. This thing has had a lot of different incarnations over the years.
Oh, that's a good question. Have you found out yet who closed the door?
We have so many people that live here with us or don't live here with us. It could be anybody because we have lots of children. We have soldiers. We have ladies. We see things daily. Like it's not every once in a while. It's like daily.
I was going to say, what is it like to live? Because I know I have spirits in my house, but they're not like how the house you're living in, because that's been through so much. What is that like?
It's interesting.
You're describing
I'd be
their
afraid
house.
to have sex because I wouldn't know who's watching. Like, God.
Yeah,
dang.
they described their house, and I instantly thought about American Horror Story that has like all these different types of spirits in it. I'm like, can you imagine having all these different types of spirits in your house? Like,
Well, we actually have rooms for them. They all have their own rooms. We have the murder room, which is technically the gentleman's room because it's done up for like a gentleman. We've got the ladies' room next door, and then we have a nursery down the hall for the children that actually has toys and stuff in it.
that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to y'all's house. Let's go in.
I know. Hey, I want to go. I definitely want to go. Damn.
Well, it's not. I mean, when we first bought it, of course, most of our friends are in the paranormal community, and they were all asking you, "Well, are you going to open it up to investigations?" And we're like, well, "It's our house. We live here." It's not like just an investment or anything. It's where we live. And but enough people asked that we decided, okay, we'll raffle off one night. And so we $20 a raffle ticket. We started selling raffle tickets.
Nice.
Within what?
We did it
3 weeks.
We did it, about three weeks to a month, because we started it a month before we were going to do the drawing.
Yeah.
Right.
So we wound up raising $3,000. We sold 120 tickets, and we were like, "Whoa,
Nice.
Okay."
Nice.
And we were buying like, give me $100 worth of tickets. Give me
And then
$150.
the next payday they call back, give me another $100 worth.
Wow.
So then when the first group came, when that group came that had won, they said, you all need to open up at least a few more nights. And we were like, well, okay. So we decided to open up 6 nights. And we sold them for $500. $500 a piece.
Up to 10 people. It gives them 18 hours here with us. We stay because our stuff's here.
It's our house.
Right.
Yeah.
Till 7 a.m.
But it's like a bed and breakfast
dinner,
experience.
snacks, breakfast, investigation, a place to sleep.
And get to hang out with me, which is worth $500 right there.
There you go.
But we sold all 6 of those within like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, as of right now, we don't have any investigations out there for people to book.
But all of our
We
friends
could
that come
possibly-
visit usually say, can I stop by and see you? We're like, come on.
Somewhere down the road, we might do it again. But as of right now, we're satisfied with the 6.
But
that
if
we have.
anybody's in town,
Yeah,
send us a message.
if you're coming through, come on by. We'll hang out and look for ghosts for a while.
Leanne's talking about our guy on the stairs that yells,
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yeah,
It says, are
has
they
happened-
ready? Or,
Yeah. This has happened.
Yes, Bob, there are. And Ernie,
Other biscuits.
There are biscuits, and I make gravy. Plain gravy. That's the biggest part of the breakfast. Which what a great honor to have biscuits
I
and gravy.
cannot make gravy to
With the
save
king
my
of
life.
biscuits and
So
gravy.
gravy.
But no, it's happened probably 5 or 6 times now. You'll hear sounds like heavy
It's
boots
always in the
on
middle of the
step.
night.
In the middle of the night. It'll come up maybe 3 or 4 steps up the main staircase over there, and he stops, and you'll hear a man say, "Are they ready? Are they ready?"
He says it twice every time.
Really?
So he's looking for them biscuits.
Down in the kitchen, because that's down at the other end of the house.
We stopped, or it stopped, because after it did it so many times, we got to when we go to bed at night, we're like, we aren't going to be ready. We're not going anywhere tonight. Ain't nobody getting up tonight. Nobody's going to be ready.
The living people are going to be sleeping tonight. Literally, we tell them just about every night. We make that announcement. We are going to.
And you don't hear him no more.
He's looking for them ladies of the evening. That's what he's looking
where
for.
nobody sleeps here because there's so much going on.
We had one day, I guess in the spring, that was so noisy here. I didn't go to work the next day. Our son didn't go to school. It was
Wow.
all night, like super loud.
I got up twice with the 45 going through the house, thinking for sure
Somebody's
in the house because so much.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And this is a house built in 1841. It's got like 18-inch walls, plaster, the walls between rooms even are like a foot thick with plaster and brick. Noise doesn't travel in this house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's noisy in this house.
It's
Something's
super
going
noisy.
on. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah, I was
it
just
is-
thinking too if that's residual, like she was saying.
I'm going to
Yeah.
say probably is usually about the same time, and it's always the same thing. We did have, ironically, there's a meme like this out there that's so funny because it actually happened to us. We were laying there
A
asleep.
meme?
A meme that's going around.
Yeah.
And, we're laying there half asleep at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's always the middle of the night. And my phone, Siri goes, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. We both set up and I look at the phone.
It's over on the
I'm
nightstand.
like, nobody said anything.
Oh my God.
So
The ghost is all, is it ready? Are they ready?
Ready, ready.
We can't talk loud. They're sleeping.
They're sleeping, but I need to know are they ready?
Common Discoveries came here to film season 4. We don't know everything that they've caught yet. Brandon says that probably
We did
won't
get
come
some
out
validation.
until the spring, but he did tell us that a lot of the stories that we gave them, because we gave them so many stories, we were like, we know we sound crazy because so much stuff that happened. He said they were able to validate a lot of what we told them when they were.
Oh, I can't wait to watch it. It's gonna
But
be
of course,
great.
they told us. We're like, tell us.
Yeah. Can you send me
Come
a
on, share.
Brandon's just like,
That is so cool.
That is so cool, man.
Wow.
So cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, Todd and Leanne were here when Discoveries came.
way to set my dog off.
We also filmed up at
Tinker.
and Todd and Leanne were part of that episode. They'll be part of that episode. They also gave their stories from the house here. I don't know. When we first bought this house, we knew that it was a historic home, that it had been a Civil War hospital, and we thought, awesome, maybe it's haunted. Well, when we came to look at the house with the realtor, we noticed the historical marker on the front of the house that said Ditto House Inn, 1841. So we Googled Ditto House Inn, and the first result that came back said 6 reasons why the Ditto House Inn is the most haunted house in Kentucky. And we were like, bonus.
We were like, yes, high five.
High-fiving, like, yeah. So
Nice.
it was great.
I remember you telling Howard something about a desk, Eisenhower desk or something
No.
like that. Who's
Sherman.
Sherman. Okay, well, I knew it was somebody.
It's a Sherman.
I just don't remember the name, but I remember the desk you were talking
The
about.
candy desk is right down here, and the Obama chair's over there. No.
I'm bad at names, damn it.
When the Union Army took over this town in late 1861, General Sherman had a headquarters like 4 doors down from us. And he was only here for a little while. And then he moved on, and then he was declared insane, and they sent him off to Jefferson Barracks in St. Louis. And then Lincoln brought him back to win the war, of course. Well, the desk that he used when he had a headquarters down the street, in the 1937 flood, that desk washed out of that house. And when the waters receded, it was found out in front of where our house is. And it was all beat up from the flood, and,
Right.
and everything. And the people that lived down there didn't want the desk back. So the people that lived here said, okay, we'll take it. So they brought it in here, and it's been here ever since.
So it's downstairs in our living room.
That's
So
crazy.
This desk.
We also have one of the original mail desks because during one of the floods, the post office got wiped out. So this was a temporary post office. So we have one of the mail desks from the 1800s downstairs.
That is so cool.
So, do you think that there's some of the antiques or something like the desk or whatever? Do you think there's like attachments to them? Oh, you knew where I was going with this, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. We aside from just those 2 items that were left here in the house, when we went to furnish the house, she was searching Marketplace for bargains. We furnished this whole place for like $3,000 worth of antiques. And
Wow.
we've got
We got a organ
really
downstairs.
cheap. When you look, like that piece right there was like $150. You can't see it, but there's a piece right over here that's like $150. It would probably go for $700, $800, $1,000
Right.
anywhere else, but we got it on Marketplace.
We've
got it real
got an
cheap.
organ
Right.
downstairs that came from an 1800s funeral home.
Yeah.
We got for like $100.
Yeah.
It doesn't play. Guts are in there if we wanted to fix it.
Y'all's house, it must be like the most coolest house ever. I mean, not just for
Right?
spirits, but
Yeah.
just the history itself.
We've got
God,
a
I love going into places.
rocking
like
chair in
that.
the kids' room that came out of the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, which is haunted.
We had a place here called the
Doe Run Inn.
Doe Run Inn that was haunted that shut down a couple years ago, and we've got a settee seat or 2 chairs and a like little love seat for $50 sitting out in our hall out there.
Oh, God, that's so awesome.
Wow.
People that want to just get rid of stuff, so we take it.
Yeah, talk about our upstairs floor.
Yeah, the floors up here in the upstairs, if you come to the house, you'll notice they're different than the floors downstairs because the 37 flood got up to the 2nd floor landing and basically destroyed the floors downstairs. But the upstairs floors are original to the house. West Point in the early 1800s was a very busy shipping port on the Ohio River. Because Louisville, which is just upstream, has the falls of the Ohio. And at that time, there was no lock and dam system. Just boot him. Get rid of him. Ban him from the chat. But anyway, the city of Louisville, you could not travel all the way north into Louisville because of the falls.
Right.
So ships would unload here at West Point and then take the stuff north of the falls by wagon train or whatever. And so West Point was very busy. Well, there was a brand new ship that came out of New Orleans in, I think it was like 1839, and came up and sold sugarcane here in West Point. And they were hoping to make enough money to buy salt to go back south. They didn't make enough money because salt was very expensive. It's a lot more expensive than sugar was. And so the guy that owned the boat said, well, let's pull this boat apart board by board and sell the board because he needed to buy salt.
Is that what you're? No.
Made of cypress wood from that ship.
What?
Yes.
That is so freaking cool, dude.
Yeah.
When the neighbors on the right side of us used to own this house, they're not the ones we bought it from. The people we bought it from bought it from them. So they're like 2 owners ago, but they have a lot of the stuff like history-wise on the house. They got the going back to the original. When they moved in here, back in the day, they used to use newspaper to wallpaper the walls.
Right. Yeah.
In the children's room, there's a little connecting door that goes to our bedroom. And there was a newspaper from the day after Lincoln's assassination hanging on the wall. They destroyed it trying to take it down.
No.
Oh.
I would have put a frame over it.
That's what I cut out the wood or something.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Bob asked how they transported the salt with no ship. Well, lumber up here is a lot cheaper than cypress wood. They built a flatboat out of what was left of the ship and went back south.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Now, isn't there something about
float back down to New Orleans?
Since we're talking about the river out back, Ohio River is our backyard.
Yeah.
John Shields, the Lewis and Clark expedition, he was the blacksmith of Lewis and Clark. We have a historic marker out front of our house because we thought it like set near here. Turns out
where John Shields lived.
Where John Shields lives. The front right corner.
He's dead now.
Lived.
That's funny you guys say Lewis and Clark because I'm over here in Oregon. We got the Lewis and Clark over here. Yeah.
Well, they started their journey in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep. And
the first stop they made was in West Point, Kentucky, in our backyard to pick up John Shields,
whose cabin's in the front right corner of our house. If you crawl under our house, you see the rock wall from where John Shields' cabin,
the old rock foundation was his cabin.
That is so freaking cool, man.
I mean, there's just so many layers of history.
Bob, we've got 2 rivers. We got the Salt River and the Ohio that come together in our backyard, and then we have 2 railroad tracks that cross. We have
limestone quarry.
Yeah, limestone quarry. We've had the Civil War
fort. We've had Indian massacres.
We've got all that.
I wonder y'all's house so active.
I know. It's like, well, isn't there something about a cemetery that's by the house or something? Do I remember you guys talking about a
Pioneer
cemetery?
Cemetery about 200 yards that way.
And
If I'm ever moving, I know where I'm going.
and there's a potter's field right here near our backyard.
Yeah.
Wow.
The neighbor actually said a few years ago he was walking along the riverbank and saw the end of a pine box sticking out and had to call the authorities. And the guy in the box still had his boots on from the 1700s.
What? That's crazy.
He was dead, though.
I'm hoping he was
I
dead.
hope so. I mean, maybe he was a zombie or something. That's
He said, I'm just taking a nap. I got these from the thrift shop.
I'm just chilling by the river.
just chilling, chillaxing.
He said, I just got done thrift shopping. I'm kind of tired. I just took a nap.
I'll catch the catfish. Leave me alone. No.
Okay, so somebody's asking, so is there limestone under your house?
I'm sure there is.
Probably.
We're
I
on
think
the part of town, Bob, and like I say, there's a limestone quarry less than a mile from us.
Kentucky is all
Did they check for a
over
The
series
world's
of
largest
cave
cave system. The
systems.
Mammoth Cave system runs all under the state of Kentucky.
That's a good question. Did they check for a pulse?
No, they didn't.
Well, damn, they could be wrong.
Seeing like
Grab his arm. It's all exposed.
never seen like bones.
Only
And
at
stuff
the
like
time.
that. They were like, yeah, we're gonna check for a pulse, you know. They didn't even check for a skin, you know. So it's all good.
That's
Yeah, we have
Too.
like Bob says, we got caves and limestone.
The whole
galore
city.
here.
When Haunted Discoveries came, they filmed at 4 different places here in West Point. We're a very haunted city, and
It's a town of 800 people.
we're like a little hidden jewel that nobody
It's
knows.
becoming a very
Yeah.
small ghost town.
Yeah.
Do you guys have basements there or no? Because it's flooding and stuff
A
like
lot
that.
of people do have basements. This house had a cellar at one point, but with all the floods and everything, the cellar has filled in with mud.
He says
and it's
all we need now is a ley line.
well,
We're
funny
on
you
the-
mention that, Bob
We're
Burnell.
sitting on the 38th parallel.
Elm Street, which Elm Street is
It's
the name
Elm
of our
Street.
that's the name of our street, and that is the 38th.
The name of your street is Elm Street.
Take a look.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
that now. I'm not going to go there. You got a Freddy roaming up and down.
I mean, you forgot they have a guy asking, screaming on the stairs. So,
That could be Freddy.
oh look,
Oh,
they got
Jesus.
You were getting out the stuffed animals earlier.
Freddy.
Yeah.
Meet Smokey. Smokey,
Yeah.
meet Freddy.
I'll see your
And
smoke,
Bigfoot.
Freddy.
And I'll bring in the owl. Why do we got toys when we're fucking adults here?
We're freaking paranormal investigators. That's why.
Elm Street, check please.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
my God, that's funny.
I mean, it's the perfect
It
storm.
is.
Fishing
Yeah.
for hunting. I mean, like I say, you throw in all the antiques that we've brought in from various
Yeah, I was
places.
gonna say.
We've got a set in the parlor that came out of a Victorian mansion in New York. We've got like a real exorcist crucifix.
Yeah, we've got the desk from the Kingwood College.
Yeah,
up on
Kingwood
that.
College burned in like 1900, and we made a desk out of that. It's burned and
It's
charred,
burned
and
charred, and we've got it sitting in our dining
the guy was
room.
going to throw it away because it's burned and charred, and we were like, "No, that's cool."
You're like, come on.
I love how y'all guys like just non-casually core. Like we're sitting in a murder room and we have
Yeah.
a house that comes out of an exorcist.
You know,
It's nothing.
Dallas, our murdered salesman, is like in here all the time, so it wouldn't surprise us
If
if
you
don't
see him behind us
him
at some point,
walk past. Tell him
Well,
about
so let me ask this: when like thunderstorms and lightnings and stuff like that, does the activity?
Oh yeah, tell him about. I'm gonna let him
Okay.
tell you about the.
He's like,
And I'm going to go down and get the chalice of rocks, and we can tell them that
Okay.
story too.
all right. We're okay. Come in. They come across. You guys are having too much fun.
We are, because it just surprises us that y'all are just like.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, really. So our thunderstorms typically come from the west, which is right that way across the river. And the backyard out here, we can sit out on our back deck and look out across the river and see when the storms are approaching. Well, we had thunderstorm watches and warnings going on one night. So we were sitting out back to watch the storm come in because I love to watch the lightning and all that stuff because we're weird people like that. And
join the club.
Yeah. So we're sitting back there and the storm comes in and then it gets to the point where, it's blowing rain in on us and everything. So we come on in the house. But when we came in, the house just felt charged. It felt darker in here. It felt heavier. It felt like there's some energy in here. So being weird ghost hunters, we got out some equipment and decided, yes, Dory, that was bad. That was really bad. But so we got out some equipment and went lights out and thought, well, we'll just see if anybody's wanting to communicate because it feels like there's energy here. And so we set some stuff up. I got a REM pod and set it on that organ that she talked about that came out of the funeral home.
Right.
And we were standing in the parlor with equipment in different rooms, but we were in a place where we could look and see all of the different equipment that we had set up. If anything went off, anything lit up, whatever. And we started asking questions and trying to communicate. Went for about 15, 20 minutes and nothing happened. And I was like, well, I guess it felt like something was going to happen, but nothing's going to happen. So I said, go ahead and turn the light on. I'll get all this stuff and we'll go up to bed. And so she walks this way to go toward the light switch. I'll walk toward the REM pod that's sitting on that organ. As I reach for it, it goes off. So it was working, right?
Right.
Well, she flips the light on, and right in front of the REM pod, there's a pile of wet crepe myrtle flowers
off the tree
from the crepe
front.
myrtle tree that's in our front yard.
What?
They were still wet from the rain.
They're still down there. They're all dried up and crispy now. I can't bring myself to throw them away because it was like a gift. But we don't know how they got.
How did they get in the house? Because we were sitting there where we could see
everywhere.
Nothing. The REM pod didn't go off. If someone had walked over there and set them down,
that was close enough to the REM pod. Anybody knows?
Because the REM pod went off as I was reaching toward it before I even got to where the flowers
were. Here but us. So.
Yeah, it was just her
and the flowers were up against the REM pod. I'm taking so.
They were right.
Yeah, there's no way.
Intentionally for me to find it when I picked that REM pod up. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
I mean, I was on the phone at 3 a.m. with like everybody I know in the paranormal, Brandon Alvis, you name it. And like, dude, explain this. Here's what just happened. And I mean, I still don't have an explanation for that, but it was amazing. I mean, we have
that's cool.
All that apporting, when objects move from place to place or just appear out of nowhere or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing happen a lot. There's a book. Beth. There's Beth Allen. There's a book called The Spirited and Haunting History of West Point, Kentucky that has an entire chapter on our house. It's got the wrong date on it or the wrong address on it. I'm sorry. But it's got a picture. It's clearly our house. And one of the stories in that book talks about how children used to sit on the steps back in the 1800s, and they would throw pebbles down the steps, try to stop them on a particular step or whatever. It was a game that they played.
Right, right.
And one of the haunting claims is that kind of thing still happens. You'll find pebbles on the steps. Well,
wow.
When we first got the house, we were here cleaning up, and we were getting ready to leave one night, and Denise said, well,
I had found a couple of rocks. So I was like, are these the children leaving them? So
did they come in on her shoes? What,
So I said, and there was nothing in the house, no furniture or anything. We had been just scrubbing because we told you about the meat in the refrigerator. We were just scrubbing, trying to get ready to go in. And I was like, if you want to leave us a rock, leave it right there on the stairs when we come in, and we'll see it the next day when we come in. Come in the next day. Over the course of a few months.
Oh my God.
They're not
Those suckers are huge.
right.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not type that will fit, just stick in your shoe.
Right.
Oh my God.
So we got a bag of crystals, and we put crystals up the first landing. Like there's one crystal on each step. Well, this crystal, 13 steps. The crystals started moving. Like you'd come in one day, one step wouldn't have any crystals, and the next, and two would show up on another one. Here recently, we had some people come about, I guess it was about a month ago now, and we had one of those crystals. Two of them had moved. One of them, because we have a first landing and then a second landing. The first landing is the only one that has the crystals. One of them had moved from the first landing up to the second landing. Another one just disappeared, and it was gone for like 3 weeks. So every time like a cabinet would open or anything, we'd be looking in the cabinet thinking, or because, you know, they open cabinets all the time, we could never find it. So I was like, well, I guess it'll just show up sooner or later. Well, one of the girls that had come to spend the weekend with us had slept in the children's room.
Her name's Crystal.
Her name's Crystal, ironically. And she had slept there all night, no problem, moved the pillows around, you know, got up the next day, went and took a shower, went back to make the bed, and the crystal that had been missing for 3 weeks was under the pillow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I was going to ask the same question. Have you guys wired your house with cameras and stuff? No.
We haven't.
We've done some EVPs. I mean, Rob Stackelwicks was here not too long ago, and within 10 minutes, he got 6 Class A EVPs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you think that maybe you could
Who's
have
that Rob? Who's that Rob guy?
He's,
Man.
I call him Rob Stanky Bitch. Rob Stanky Bitch was here.
Rob Stinky Bitch. I like that.
Do you
Yeah.
think that maybe you could have a little kid there by the name of Jax, and he's playing with the crystals or the marbles?
We have gotten.
did you say Jax?
That's our grandson's name?
That's our grandson's name. And on the children's bed, we have Jax.
Oh
Jackson.
my gosh.
And she
Maybe that's where you picked that up.
and they moved the jacks around.
Wow. Okay.
And about, like she said, we've got all kinds of toys in there, you know, that would have been appropriate for the time period, things they might have played with.
We've
in that
got
time
wooden
period.
blocks. We've got a chalkboard. We've got jacks. We have a little wooden, like, what is
Tricycle
that? Like a
looking
tricycle
thing,
thing.
but it's
Oh.
a toy
We've got,
tricycle.
I'm going to go get the little music thing. You can tell.
Yeah.
Oh.
I get creepy toys so Ernie can enjoy them when I'm away.
I
Yeah.
love creepy toys. Those are the best toys to have.
Yeah. No, Sydney. No.
Yes, creepy toys.
No.
Okay.
You guys need more creepy toys.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm gonna find more creepy toys and send them to you.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well,
Like Beth
we'll
says,
do
they've
it.
drawn on the chalkboard. We've had
That is cool.
just lines, you know, just random lines.
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
send you more chalk. I'm gonna find you one of those little wind-up musical boxes.
Like that.
We need a
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Okay. All right. Let me tell you a little story about this.
I remember those.
He hates it. I can tell.
Nothing jumps out. It just makes noise.
Okay. She's in Indianapolis. My son was staying at his mom's. I'm here by myself, which is no big deal. It happens
Aw,
a lot.
by yourself.
It happens a lot.
All by myself.
I was gonna sing that. That's why she said that.
I was waiting for one of you guys to do it.
And the reason why I was gonna say that, I gotta tell you, when I travel, I leave my husband home all alone by himself too. It's just two things.
So I'm laying there asleep at like 2:00 in the morning, and I start hearing
Yes.
in the room right next to where I sleep is where this stays. And I was like, I sat up in bed and I'm like, I said, did I just hear something in there? I just said it out loud because I'm a crazy ghost hunter, you know.
Yep,
And
yep.
Nothing happened. I stood up and started to walk toward the children's room where this is, and this thing went.
Yes. It's like, go faster.
I'm gonna pee myself from laughing too.
Well, I peed myself from that.
Now, remember, I told you there's a door between our room and the children's room. Twice last week, we got woke up with somebody knocking on that door.
Yeah. You're laying there.
Somebody knocking. Should I let him in?
Ernie said, I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Oh, this is what? This is a bad karaoke show now? What the heck? No, I mean, there's always something going. I mean, we got a video that's on our Facebook page where we were sitting in bed during the afternoon, middle of the day, and we've got a music box that Brad Webb had made us that plays that creepy ass
Ring Around Rosie.
Oh my gosh.
It started going off. And we're sitting there in bed, you know, we're both just kind of scrolling Facebook and stuff, and we hear that, and we look at each other.
Able to get
And
started the.
she starts recording, and it stops.
Of course.
She said, "Can you do that again, please?" Ring around. Now, you know, I've been to some of the most haunted places in the world. You know, worked at Waverly Hills, spent a lot of time the only person in that building, you know, in the dark, and loved it. No problem. Sat in the portal to hell at Bobby Mackey's. Done all kinds of crazy stuff that no one would do. But creepy kids are creepy, y'all.
I love creepy kids.
They try to climb in bed.
Yes. Creepy kids are creepy. Just saying.
We see
Creepy kids are creepy.
We have a
See, now you're making fun of creepy kids, and now my dog's all upset.
the first landing of the first set of stairs. There's a wash stand with a mirror on it straight ahead, and the second steps go back behind you to where the kids' room is. So we have that mirror purposely there because when you're coming up that mirror, you can sometimes see the kids running back into their room.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. Y'all guys need to have a camera facing that so we can see the creepy kids.
We thought about getting some cameras, you know, but if we get
people
cameras,
are gonna be getting a look at this.
that's going to be OnlyFans. That's got to be OnlyFans. Speaking of OnlyFans, tell them why we can't have cameras in here all the time. Ernie, tell them about the lady across
We
the
don't
street.
need to talk about that.
I think
Oh, yeah. Something about you guys didn't have curtains up yet?
Dawn made a thing called Parafans. So
tell them about your first night in this house, honey.
I know about this first night. He told it on Howard's show, but tell everybody else.
Gosh. Okay.
Come on.
All right.
Okay.
Bob, this is the reason we don't have cameras.
This is why we don't have cameras, and we're not gonna have cameras, Bob. Sorry. Come down and visit us, brother.
That might be worse. Just saying.
So anyway, we did not have a bed
What
at
are you picking
that
at?
first. There's something weird on my leg here. I'm telling the story.
I hope you have pants on. Just the way you said, there's something on my leg.
We had a mattress laying on the floor, right? We did not have a bed frame yet because we were looking for an antique bed frame. We did not have a bed frame yet. So we just had the mattress laying on the floor that first night we were here. This house was built in 1841. It's got those long, tall windows, right? And I'm laying there on the mattress, wake up on a Sunday morning at like 7:55, and I look.
I had gone to the restroom, so I wasn't in there to stop his stupidity.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So I'm laying there and I look out the window and all I'm seeing is like over top of the roof of the house across the street. So I'm like, okay, I'm good to stand up. Nobody will see me because I typically don't have clothes on when I'm asleep. Just saying, unless we got company. And so I stood up and I stretched. And I'm
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
"Oh." And I look out the window and I realize that window is a tall window and goes almost all the way to the floor. And when you're standing up, let's just say, for example, some lady's walking her Yorkie.
Oh my God.
She looked up
Oh, Jesus.
and
They made eye contact.
I think she might have had a stroke.
Ernie had to say, my eyes are here.
And I dropped down to the floor and was crawling like a worm across the floor.
I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, just stingling my dog at the neighbor.
So that was how we got introduced to the neighborhood. It's like, welcome to
Tell me you're friends with Howard without telling me you're friends with Howard.
Charges pending.
Damn.
Oh, shit.
So there you go.
Well, honey, there goes the neighborhood.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen him
Don't look
midnight?
up.
By God, my wife has. Yeah. So yeah. That's how
Oh,
that
my
happened.
God.
That was our first night here.
But we haven't touched on the fort a lot. Just so y'all know, we do run tours out of on at Fort Duffield, Civil War fort.
Yep. Right here in West Point, Kentucky. It's a Civil War fort that was built to protect these supply lines and protect the Union encampment that was here in town.
And it has Bigfoot and spirits and UFO activity.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell. My lighting's off. Hold on, let me see. Let me change.
I see the big.
Okay.
You got the big feet.
I
Over there.
I see, right behind your big head, Emmy. There's another Bigfoot.
Oh, that's actually
Your
up
big
there
head.
behind my head, right? There. Oh, hold on. That
There you
right
go.
there, that's actually a hand, a Bigfoot hand.
Cool. That's cool.
And this right here, this foot, whoa.
Right there.
So you know Cliff Brockman. This is one of his castings out of somewhere in Washington. I can't think of it was in 1982. Now, Cliff Brockman is pretty much neighbors with us. He has.
Boom. It's been tested.
Yeah, that's why we're touching it now because it's been tested.
It's already been tested.
That's so
Back up.
cool.
Unknown biologic sample. It
That
doesn't
is
have any
so cool.
profiles of any known animal.
See, and
He's
Cliff
up
Brockman has that. He has the Bigfoot Museum that's 10 minutes from us, and he has samples of stuff like that too in there, and it's just wow.
Linda,
That was Bigfoot's
hair.
hair. That was Bigfoot's hair, you guys.
Yep.
That was that was not my uncle. That was Sasquatch.
That was from under. So okay, so where did you find that at? By your house? There's a. Go ahead.
Squatch Man Greg Yost, who is, in my opinion, the foremost person in the world on a relationship and research of the forest people.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And he's a good friend of ours, brother, and he gave us that. He found that in a structure he calls a hooch. It looks like, I don't know, it's just a shelter, basically. It's built of sticks that are broken, that are big sticks that are broken off on the end, and they're stacked around a log that's fallen in the woods. It's Denise has a picture of it.
Wow.
They were found near that. And I don't know. I was like she said, back at the very beginning of the show, we were talking about how Pac-Man Paranormal came to be. We were not Bigfoot people.
Right.
We weren't disbelievers in Bigfoot, but we were not necessarily believers either. because we'd never really experienced it. And then when we got put together for that show, later on down the road, we were introduced to Squatch Man. And
That's so cool.
And he has taught us so much about the forest people that I could talk for days about that. I mean, we're actually going to be speaking at the Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon about Bigfoot. We're going to be speaking at the Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization's first ever convention.
I just sent the hooch that was found there, and then I'll send you a couple of tree structures too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like she was saying about Fort Duffield, and you mentioned Greg Bakken earlier. We had Greg and Shar up at Fort Duffield last year about this time, and they had their first ever Bigfoot encounter. And I actually saw one walk out into the full moonlight and just stand there and look at all of us. We weren't talking about Bigfoot, nothing.
That was before we even knew Bigfoot was up there. I think that
was our first real knowledge that Bigfoot was there.
Wow.
And
that's a coyote. We're thinking coyote outside of that hooch.
Yeah, that was found right near where this hair came from.
And I want to say, because I've heard Bigfoot, I've smelled. I've never seen one, but I have heard them, and I noticed they run with like coyotes and stuff. Because you hear the Bigfoot, that their scream is like nothing else ever.
Right.
And then you hear coyotes after that. And so
sometimes you'll hear coyotes sound like they're being murdered when you know that there's a Bigfoot around. I mean, they're yelping and crying. We've heard that a couple.
Yeah. Can that be? Come on.
But
now I've seen that stuff before right there, kind of, because I'm in over here in Mount Hood area.
Yeah.
That is.
You got plenty.
I never thought of that.
Did you know something we learned is that you know how spirits will follow you home from locations? Well, the Sasquatch will too.
They are not an ape. That's just to give you some perspective on how big that structure is.
That is.
Now Cora's
Like
5'8". That's our daughter Cora. She's like 5'8".
Oh
now,
shit!
I'm 6 foot tall. I could almost stand up in that thing, because you can see how the tree is like up in the air.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's actually a pretty tall little shelter.
And those are broken. They're not sawed. Those are broken.
Yeah.
But
and those are some big ones in there. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a footprint after we had spent the weekend in the woods doing some Sasquatch hunting. We got home and there was a Bigfoot footprint in the dust in our dining room.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm looking at this right here. So I see all these are standing up. On the other side, they're standing up. These are like underneath, like perfectly laid underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that it's, intentionally built, and it was not brand
I see
new.
this all the time.
Yeah. Now,
All
those
the time.
trees, if you look, the one that's coming up from the right and crossing over, the root
right here.
end of it is actually up in the air. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, that is out in the middle of the forest. There is like nothing around there. That is out in no man's land.
And
Now,
there's somebody standing. It looks like somebody standing right here to give you a side. Holy
just
shit.
to give you an idea of how high up that is.
Oh my God.
It's massive. And, people can't do that.
I see this all the time too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to say when before Mount Hood blew, not Mount Hood, I'm sorry, Mount St. Helens, that there was a lot of sightings of Bigfoot because it was almost like they knew what was going to happen.
And they
And
were
Mount St. Helens, Mount St. Helens considered one of the most aggressive volcanoes out there because it actually blew out the north side and flattened everything like toothpicks, just laid flat. but there was more sightings that year. I believe 1982. Is that when it blew? 1980, 1982. I can't remember. My brain's broke. More sightings of Bigfoot then and stuff. And I think that is just so crazy because they knew. It's like they knew.
They're spiritual beings. They're like a spirit of the forest. They're not an animal. That's why nobody's finding them.
They can take on the flesh and blood, but that's when they're, at their highest. Yeah, that's Ashine.
Oh my God.
Illuminating.
Do you believe they're interdimensional too?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yep. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
They're looking straight up at the structure from underneath.
Wow.
Rescue, who's over here in the chat, he's actually an engineer, and he's been out there with us. That's Squatch Man, who's like 6'5" underneath that right there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Gosh. That is so cool.
That thing's
huge. My God, that one's.
Yeah.
That's them under there trying to figure out how.
Yeah, that's Todd.
They would have. Okay, so this would have had to bend down first. So it's like almost would have had to grab it, bend it to arch it.
Yeah.
And then as
those other trees put on top of it to pin it down. Yeah.
Wow. These are great.
Linda, I agree with what you're saying.
Oh, wow, look at the toes.
That's the footprint that we found in our
Oh my God, I see it.
That is that same door that closed. That's that same doorway where that door closed.
Holy shit.
That's six toes.
No, it's 1,
5.
2, 3, 4, 5. But
It's
it's
5.
big. I can see the outline.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a huge.
I wear a size 13, and it was about 4 inches longer than my foot when I put my foot down next to it.
Yeah, we
So these what are these? 6 inches across, or are these like 12-inch squares? If you think about it,
that's probably like 6 inches from line to line, something like that.
Okay, so wow.
There's like they're like 2.5 blocks worth of foot there, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's wow.
Like 17, 18 inches, something like that.
Damn. That is freaking awesome. I'm just like, we're definitely going to have you back on the show. We're going to have to talk about Bigfoot and stuff. Just make
Imagine you
Bigfoot
sitting
series.
in the kids' room playing with the little toy.
Bigfoot sitting there.
Very good.
He's waiting for something to pop up.
Oh,
I had one of these when I was a kid.
that is so cool.
Oh shit, Thomas is like, wait, Bigfoot makes house calls now.
Hey, you need something to be hung up, he got you. That's so cool though.
That is.
Wow.
Wow.
To say this is why we're busy.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
Plus, we have
You
real.
know what? I'm actually surprised. I was surprised too because I asked you, I was like, do you guys want to be on the show for an hour or an hour and a half?
Yeah,
We're almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, Emmy. We're going to have to send you a bill for that.
Damn it. Yeah, I'll just send you Smokey.
Get son of a bitch away from me.
Who would ever thunk I would have had Smokey the Bear in my presence? You're going great. You're gonna be like, great.
Oh, there's so many stories. That's a whole other thing. We could have like hours and hours of just Ernie stories with no paranormal involved.
I believe it.
A lot of money.
Hey, I don't pay for therapy. Just saying.
We sure don't.
No.
We sure don't.
But, we're gonna ask, would you, if we ever asked you, if you ever had time, would you love to be back on our show again?
No way.
Hey, if I do this, wait, hold on. Wait.
That's the reason why, Emmy. Okay. All right. Yes. If you were,
Our dog got it. Good job, dog. Good job.
Oh, got it.
thank you, dog. Rip that son of a buck to shreds. Okay, I'm in. Yeah. Now that Smokey the Bear is dead, I'm in.
Okay, Tinker, he said he'll. Oh, you give me lovin's. Oh, see, yes, see. Oh, see. There you go. Yes,
He said I got him.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. We would love to have you back, definitely. So we'll have to plan this so that way we have time. Or you guys have time.
Yeah.
But
also, we are planning on doing Fear Fest 2026.
yes.
We'd love to have you guys out there.
Yeah, where will it be?
It's going to be in Oregon.
You're
2026.
paying for my flight to Oregon.
Yeah,
Yes, we would.
we would. We would pay for your flight to Oregon.
We would love. And see, have you ever been over here in Oregon and Washington area? Yeah, I mean, come on, this is where Bigfoot
I've been to
Bigfoot country over here.
Idaho, Montana.
You're a hoe? Don't call yourself a hoe.
No.
Idaho. We're not going back. Okay, but you never.
We've lost her, folks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. We can't. We got to stay on track.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Focus.
But yeah, definitely would love to have you guys come out. Of course, we would pay because we want to do. We got permission from Steven because he owns the rights to Fear Fest. And we were thinking about doing it over here in Oregon, but 2026, and we would love to have both of you come out. If not, just Denise can come out because you can stay home.
Yeah, I'll stay home with the ding, 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 ding. I mean, that's a long ways off to be planning something, but keep us posted on that. And if we can make it, we just might.
Yep, we're trying to get things in order. That way we could the people, because I like I said, we know you're busy, but when we decide to come up with a date, then that way you'll have a date and you'll be like, yeah, we can go as long as we get rid of this right here,
Famous by then, though. And so if I'm rich and famous, I'm probably not going to show up at your little freaking Fair Fest thing because I'm. Yeah.
Fine, you can stay home. Denise, we don't want you. You talk too much.
No, I posted on that, and if we can fit it in, we will.
We would love to have you there.
Cool.
So I'm going to have your bio in. I forgot to drop it in the link, but it will be in everything. And where can everybody find you at? Go ahead and let them know on here.
We're primarily on Facebook because we are not tech savvy. We're
busy enough on Facebook that all the other social media platforms we just don't. We got them.
We have a TikTok, but I don't hardly ever put anything on there. There's
a lot of funny videos on there.
I've seen our YouTube pop up over here a few times. We have posted the last couple of shows, I think, on our YouTube, but we have more shows. We go through Get Haunted on Facebook, and then we have Pipeman Paranormal. We have a page and a group, 2 sites, and then we have Hauntings of Fort Duffield, and we have the Real Ditto House in 1841, and then we have our individual Facebooks. You can always we're very personable. You can reach out to me or Ernie if you have any questions.
She's not personable.
I don't like people on text. I'll answer you on text. Don't call me. I will not answer.
I'm a personable person. That's why
he's a personable person. He's a personable person because I'm always like, did you remember to text so and so back? Did you remember to call so and so? Did you remember to do this?
They get the picture. Shut up.
There you go. You need it. There's new merch. I'm a personable person.
Exactly.
Merch. There you go.
Every Sunday night on the Get Haunted Network, you can catch us at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This weekend, we have Char Savoy as our guest. We have our own little talk show just like this, and it's much like this. It's just fun and laid back and informative at the same time, but we don't have any kind of script or any written down questions for anybody. We just talk. And
Yeah, we go with the flow, and that's what we find a lot easier. It helps relax people and stuff like that, especially when people are kind of nervous and stuff like that. But it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay, I'm done. I'm smoking. I'm done. I'm sending you.
yeah,
They said it pull out the boom box.
good thing.
You know what?
They're ending the show. Don't start another freaking.
Don't get sidetracked. We can go on. We can definitely go on and on.
No, I've got to be at a freaking Paracon tomorrow.
What Paracon tomorrow? Can we join?
Billy Creek.
ISS Con.
No, we're not going to ISS.
It's called ISS Con at Billy Creek Village, Indiana.
Okay.
It's in Rockville, Indiana.
They have an ISS con tomorrow.
They don't have an ISS.
They
Con.
do. That's why we got changed to Billy Creek.
He's wrong. ISS.
Con tomorrow.
Oh, we're having a domestic on here, and that you guys, I'm not paying for anybody's.
We're going to war tonight.
Again, we don't pay for therapy.
No, we don't.
She's going to need like physical therapy when I'm done. No.
Oh my god.
Anyway, this has been fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
Except for the traumatizing parts about Smokey the Bear, everything else was.
Oh,
great.
your trauma's just
There she
beginning,
goes
buddy,
again.
because you got a little on air. This camera's going to be turned off eventually. You just better remember.
What are you talking about?
Well, everybody in chat,
Naughty.
thank you for showing up here. And we don't have an outro. No, we don't have an outro.
Outro.
We don't have an outro because we're not tech savvy either. So
Want me to sing us out?
Go for it.
yeah, sing us out.
Boombox.
No. That's the show. Boom.